People Making Money. I'm your host, Kevin Bemmel, and we're here every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific time. And we talk about all things related to your professional life, business life, wealth building, people making money, hence the name of the show. So today, I want to jump right into our topic, which is starting your business entity. So for those of you who already have a business, you probably went through some kind of process like this. For those of you who are thinking about starting a business, one of the things you're going to need to do is to have an entity for the business to be, I guess is the best way to put it. And I'm going to talk about the three most common entities and then really take you through how you start them. And what I think you're going to find is you can do most of the work yourself, which will save you quite a bit of money. You're going to want to get some accounting advice. And potentially some legal advice as well. But if it's, for a small business, especially, and for a startup, you don't necessarily need to spend thousands of dollars or worse, tens of thousands of dollars on all kinds of business startup stuff. These days, certainly in all the jurisdictions that I've recently been involved in, which includes California, Arkansas, Virginia. I think I've in the last few months, I've dealt in those three jurisdictions. So the state, it's usually the Secretary of State for the particular state. You can go to their website and you can do all of what you need to do through their website. And it's actually pretty straightforward, pretty simple to do. So let's just sort of jump right in. If you're going to start a business, it's probably going to be either a sole proprietorship, an LLC, or a corporation. Well, that's weird. You see those bubbles. I don't know why it's doing that, but anyway. So the simplest and least expensive to create is a sole proprietorship. And I've talked about types of business entities before, so I'm not going to get into the sort of pros and cons of them. If you want to know about that, please go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@thewaytowwow, and you can look up the show I did. I think it was just a few weeks ago on business entities, and I talked about potential benefits and challenges for the different types of business entities. But the easiest one to form and the quickest one to form is a sole proprietorship, and that's because there is really no entity separate from you when you're a sole proprietor. Okay, it's just you. Okay, and so you're probably going to give your business a name. Okay, and the name you give your business will need to be established, if you will, through something called a fictitious business name statement, or what's sometimes known as a DBA, doing business as. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to set up a fictitious business name, and then that's it. And then once you have your fictitious business name, now you can open up a checking account in the business name. Okay, and what's called the vesting, the way the account name reads is probably going to be so let's say I started a sole proprietor, so the account would probably read something like Kevin Bemmel, doing business as, or DBA, The Way to Wow show. Okay, and so then on the checks, if I even got them, which these days I probably wouldn't, but if I had checks, I would just put, The Way to Wow show. And that would be my business checks. Okay. And that checking account would be a separate checking account for my business. And then I'd have my own personal checking account. And that's one of the reasons, one of the things you're going to want to do if you start a business is start a separate checking account for the business. It'll make it a lot easier to keep track of your income and expenses, especially come tax time. You know, as a sole proprietor, you're going to have to file what's called a Schedule C on in your personal tax return. Okay, and any net income that results on the Schedule C then gets reported as income to you as an individual, and you pay taxes on it. Okay. The other two types of entities I'm going to talk about are an LLC, which is short for limited liability company. Okay. Not corporation, limited liability company. Okay. And the third one is a corporation. Now, an LLC is easier to it's these days I'm not sure it's necessarily easier to file. It's usually less expensive to file. Okay, an LLC by its nature is what's called a pass-through entity, meaning although it's a separate business entity, it doesn't pay taxes. What it does is any income the LLC makes gets passed through to the members of the LLC. And then they pay taxes on that income. With a corporation, okay, so corporations come in two types. There's a C Corp and an S Corp. So an S Corp is also what's called a pass-through entity, meaning if the S Corp has a profit, that profit gets passed through to the shareholders of the corporation, and they pay taxes on it on their return. Okay, a C Corp, though, is its own is not only its own entity like an S Corp, but it's a tax-paying entity. So if at the end of the year that corporation has any profit, the corporation pays profit. Now, if it distributes that profit as dividends to the shareholders, so then they'll pay taxes on the dividends as well. And if you go and look at my show on entities, you'll see one of the downsides of a C Corp is it's subject to this sort of double taxation of its profits, one at the corporate level and one at the shareholder level. Okay, so when it comes to forming a corporation, there's not a big difference between forming a C Corp and an S Corp. The difference between the two is when you form a corporation, it's considered to be an S Corp unless you elect to make it. I'm sorry. When you form a corporation, it's considered a C Corp, unless you elect to make it an S Corp. And the S comes from subchapter S of the Internal Revenue Code. That's why S Corp. So there's a document or a form that you file that with the IRS in which you elect to make qualify the corporation under subchapter S, thereby making it an S Corp. Okay, that's really the only difference between the two, and I'll show that too. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and start going through some of these so you can see what they look like. So this is just a page on my browser. So let's first of all let's look at filing a fictitious business name statement. So I'm just going to search fictitious, and you'll just do the same thing: fictitious business name statement. Okay. Oops, and I spelled it wrong, but see, Google and you'll see like LegalZoom. You can use LegalZoom if you want, but you don't need to, because see right down here, Los Angeles County Registrar Recorder County Clerk. This is actually who it gets filed with. Okay, so this is a Los Angeles County part of their website, and here it is: file a fictitious business name statement. Now, generally speaking, you're going to file a fictitious business name with the county in which your business is located. Okay. Now, if you're living in Louisiana, they're not called counties. There's a different name. They're called parishes, I believe. Okay. And I think in Louisiana, you would file it in the parish in which your business is located. Okay. So any business can file for a fictitious business name. Okay. Now, for a sole proprietor, that's really all you're going to do. But if you're an LLC, you can file. Let's say let's say I create an LLC, Bemmel Company LLC. Okay. I can file a fictitious business name under which Bemmel LLC does business. So I could file a fictitious business name, The Way to Wow Show, for Bemmel Company LLC, and so it would be, officially, if I were acting as The Way to Wow Show, I would say Bemmel Company LLC doing business as The Way to Wow Show. Okay, so an LLC, a corporation, they can also file for fictitious business names. So this applies really to any kind of not any kind, but many kinds of fictitious business names. Okay, so you can see here, and LA County's I think has this is a really good website for doing this. So first of all, they have a live chat over here if you have questions. And then they offer you different ways to do it. So if this is a new filing, okay, you can, first of all, you can do it online. You see the Get Started button here, and they have a short video tutorial on how to do it. Okay, you can do it in person if you want, although that's kind of a hassle. And you can also mail it in. Okay, and then you come down here, filing requirements. So as we go through it, excuse me, you can review the requirements in advance, but as we go through it, you'll see pretty much what you need to do. So I'm going to file it online. It does cost an extra $9 service fee to file it online, but compared to the time it would take to go down to the county building, the county registrar's office and all that, the $9 is worth it. So you just click on that. Okay. And you see here, there's several things. So what would you like to do today? File a fictitious business name. Okay, so this is if you're going to file an original one, or you're going to amend one that's already filed, or you're going to renew it, or you're going to abandon or withdraw filings. Okay, all of that can be done here. Now, what do these different things mean? Well, an original means you're creating a new fictitious business name. An amendment means you're making a change to an existing fictitious business name filing. A renewal, they have to be renewed periodically. I think here in LA County, it's every 5 years, if I remember correctly. Abandonment and withdrawal means, let's say you had a business that was using a fictitious business name and you don't want to use that name anymore. So you'll file to abandon or withdraw that filing so that if some other business is using that name, you won't be held responsible for it. Okay. Now, there's several steps to completing a fictitious business name filing. And the first is to do the initial filing. Then it has to be published in a paper of general circulation. I'm going to show you how that's done as well. And it has to be published typically, like here in California, it's once a week for 3 weeks. Once the publication has done that publishing, they're going to send you a proof of publication, okay? And then you need to file that proof of publication with, in this case, LA County, okay? And now, if you ever want to get a certified copy, you can do that here as well. All right, so let's go ahead and click on File. Okay, we're going to do it online. Okay, and we're going to do a new filing. Okay, so for new filings, requires publication. You see that there. Okay, so and the first thing you're going to do is you're going to search for it. You can see fictitious business names expire 5 years from the date filed. So let's come up with a name for a business. Well, I'll just use my show name. So the Way to Wow shows. Okay, oops, not sows. The Way to Wow female pigs. Okay, so we'll click this. No results found. So nobody has used Nobody is using this name. So I click here. I have verified my fictitious business name is available. Okay. And then we can proceed. Okay. Now it's going to ask, to fill in the name of the person. Okay. So full name or company name. So you can see this right here, by the way, customer information for credit card payment and ID authentication using VitalCheck. Okay. Please note the individual selected to sign the form and email address when provided will be the individual receiving the email to complete the online identification, authentication, and credit card payment process. Okay. So in other words, there's got to be a real person involved. Even if you're filing on behalf of a corporation, there's got to be a real person involved because somebody's got to receive the emails. Okay. So full name is, Kevin Bemmel. Okay. First name, Kevin. Last name, Bemmel. Okay. Address, 256 South. This is my business address, South Robertson Boulevard, number 120. Okay. Beverly Hills. Not. You can see what a terrible typist I am. Okay. California. You can scroll down here a bit. Zip code 90211. Okay. Let's see, the way to wow show at bemmel.com. Okay. And confirm email, the way to wow. I'm having trouble typing today. Wow show at bemmel.com. Oops. Okay. And phone number 530-430-7227, I believe it is. Okay. So there you've got all the information filed in. And look, we all know our information. No big deal there. Okay. Click proceed. Okay. Current business type. So you see the different types here. Okay. Co-partners. So for a sole proprietor, okay, that's an individual. Okay. And there you go. Number of registrants, 1, because it's an individual. Okay. Eligible signer, owner, the individual. Okay. All right. So now you need to add a registered owner. That'll be you. Okay. So again, full name, Kevin Bemmel. Oops. Okay. Put in your mailing address. And you may be asking, why do I have to put this in twice? It's just what they're asking you to do. Okay. City is, you scroll down to Los Angeles. Where's Los Angeles? Here it is. Los Angeles. Okay. Mailing state, California. Mailing zip code, 2. And I realize I put the wrong city in. Let's get this out. It's not Los Angeles, it's Beverly Hills. There we go. Okay. And county, or country, I mean. Excuse me. So that's going to be the United States. Scroll all the way down here. Okay, there we go. United States. Okay. And we're going to add this. Now you notice if you're a service member overseas and you have an international business address, so you'll click that there. Okay. But you can also, you'll notice here under state, it says military. Okay. So if you have an APO or an FPO address, so you'll be able to add that. Okay. So you just click add and there it is. Okay. All right. So now we have a registered owner. So we proceed. Okay. Full name, corporation name, LLC name, right? So Kevin Bemmel. Okay. Signatory's name. If corporation, we don't have to worry about that. Signatory's title, owner. Okay. And see, they've actually like pre-filled this in. Okay. Okay. And for each business name, you put it in here. Okay. So the way to wow shows. Okay. Add. Okay. And there you go. Now, by the way, if you want to have more than one fictitious business name, you can file more than one at a time. So if we wanted to add a second one, what could it be? How about I don't know, I'm just coming up with something crazy. Swans products. I don't know. Okay. Add. Well, there you go. So I could do 2. Okay. I'm not going to, but you could do more than one. Okay. And then you proceed. Okay. Registered business address. Okay. So, and again, this is going to be the same thing. You say, why do they keep asking this? Because they do, because they're the county, and, you know, and they're going to do that. Number 120, business city, Beverly Hills, business state, California, business zip code 90211, business county, Los Angeles. Okay. And business country, United States. All right. And requester information. Okay. So this is you. Okay. So you don't have to put in your first name, but I just do, so that if the mail comes in, okay, 256 South Robertson Boulevard. Oops, you got Robertson Boulevard. Number 120. Okay. And again, Beverly Hills, California, and 90211. Okay. Now, this is an important question. Date registrant commenced to transact business under the fictitious business name. Now, in general, you want to file it before you start doing business, but you may have started your business. Let's say we started the business on Monday, okay, and we were so busy we just didn't get a chance to start it. It doesn't really matter because it's only going to ask for the month and year. Okay. Now, in fact, if you started in January, you could put January 2004. See, it'll go in. Oops. 01/2024. Okay, there we go. Yeah. But we're doing it in February, so all we have to do is just put February 2024. Okay. And then oops. Oh, it needs a. There we go. Okay, proceed. Okay, now it's gonna give you an opportunity to look over all of it. Okay, everything that you put in. Okay, so registered business names, the way to wow shows, business address page, there it is, registered owner. Okay, that's me. Fictitious names, the signer, it's going to be me. Okay, requester information page, there's all that stuff. Okay, requester information. Okay, and then I'm not going to actually do this because I don't want to submit something to their system that I'm not going to use. But you'll review the information. You'll click that you verified it. Okay, and then you'll sign it using your mouse. Okay, and if you don't like how you did it, you can clear the signature, and then you submit your order. Okay, and what you're going to get is a window that basically says, thank you for your submittal. We're going to send you a confirmation email within, I think it's 3 to 5 days, so that you can pay the fees, because they're going to verify, they're going to do all the verification to make sure that you've done what you're supposed to do. Okay, and if there's anything wrong, they're going to let you know. Otherwise, they're going to send you an email, and in that email is going to be a link at which you can pay the fees for submitting the fictitious business name statement. I think in LA County, it's I want to say $55 plus a $9 processing fee or something like that. So it's not a lot of money, but it's money. Okay. Once you pay the fee, now I know in LA County's case, once you pay the fee, then you're going to almost immediately get another email with your fictitious business name statement. Okay. And I'm going to bring up a fictitious business name statement that I recently filed. Let's see. Here we go. Is this it? Yeah. Okay. So let's go back over here and let's stop sharing. And I'm gonna let's see if it'll bring this up. Oh, nope, unable to share screen. Okay, it's not going to let me bring up the document, unfortunately. Okay, sorry about that, but you'll get a PDF copy of the fictitious business name statement, and it's basically gonna show the information that you put in, okay, and then it's going to be electronically signed by someone in the county recorder's office. It's probably not going to be signed by the county clerk himself, but one of the staff there, and it'll give the date that it was filed, etc. Okay, so then once you've gotten the fictitious business name statement from the county, so the next thing you're going to do is, and I'm just going to close this so it doesn't actually get filed. Next, you're going to do is publish fictitious business name. Okay, and you're going to see there's lots of publications, and in fact, here if you go to here at the LA County's website, they give you a list of newspapers in which you can publish it. Okay, that qualify as newspapers of general circulation. Now, some are going to be more expensive than others. So, for example, the Los Angeles Times is probably going to be much more expensive than the Los Angeles Sentinel. Okay, but I mean, and it doesn't matter. You could put it in the Palisades Post, even though you don't live in the Palisades. It doesn't matter as long as it's a newspaper in general circulation in the county. Okay, and the fact of the matter is, I didn't use any of these. I used a paper called the LA Daily News to publish mine. So let's see if I can find that. I think it's under Central News, I believe. Let's see. Nope, that's not it. Okay. This may be it. No, this isn't it. Okay, well, it doesn't really matter. So here's this is called Central DBA. Okay, and the total cost for legal publication in Los Angeles County is $40 plus $2 per additional business name or registrant for each filing, approximately $10 a week. Okay, and what you'll do is you'll put in your filing number. You'll put in the filing date and you'll search. Okay, so here I'll do it for one of mine. Let's get the filing number. Okay, so there's the filing number. The date is February 5th. Let's see what we come up with. Okay, there it is. There's mine. Okay, and you can see who the enter is. So then you can just go continue. Okay, and okay, I don't already have an account, so I would fill in all this information. Okay, filing details. Here's all the, and they have all the information already filled out. Okay, shipping information, I put in that. I put in billing information, my credit card. Okay, and proceed to checkout, and it's going to check me out, and then it's going to publish the information. I think I believe it's must be 4 weeks, not 3 weeks. But in any event, it'll publish it. Okay. And then once it's done publishing, oh, you know what? I'm sorry. You couldn't see that. Oh, shoot. Okay. Here, let me go here. Sorry about that. Okay. So now you can see, I'm going to go back. So, oh, come on. There you go. Okay. So I filled in the filing number and the filing date of my fictitious business name statement, searched. Okay. Here it is. I click on continue. Okay. And I would fill in my email address and create a password. So that creates an account. the contact information would be me. I've just filled that out again. You've seen me do that numerous times already. Okay. And you see it's an original fictitious business name filing. Okay. Business structure individual. That's wrong. It's a corporation. Okay. Number of owners. Oops, not 2. 1. Okay. And there's the different fictitious business names. Okay. This is where correspondence gets mailed to. Okay. Here's where you put in payment information, credit card number. You would click proceed to checkout. You'd click checkout, and then it's going to publish all of the it's going to publish the information every week for 3 or 4 weeks, whatever the requirement is. Okay. And then you'd go back to the LA County, in this case, LA County website, and you would file the verification of publication, and now you're done. And if you're a sole proprietor, you're done. And now you're in business, and you can take that, as I said, you can open a bank account. All right. So now what I'm going to do is show you how to file for an LLC or a corporation. So while the fictitious business name statement happens at the county level, an LLC happens at the state level. And I'm just going to use California, but like I said, every state has this. I've done them in a couple of other states. Okay, and business. Here we go. Okay, so you have in California we have something called BizFile Online. Okay, different states have different systems or different names, but they all, if you go to the Secretary of State for the particular state in which you want to create the entity, do that. And you see here you can free business search. You can look for names, and here you have register a business, corporation, limited liability company, limited partnership. Okay, so that's what you're gonna do. Okay, and here it is. Okay, and it depends what you're going to file. Now, limited liability companies initial filings. Okay, so this is a California LLC. Okay, and see that there's a $70 online processing fee. File online. Okay, so you click that. Okay, and oh, that's right, I don't have my account here. Okay, let's see. If you are visiting first, sign up for a new account below. Hang on one sec. I already have an account, so let me get the login information. I forgot. I have to use a different browser when I do the show. So okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put in email address and okay, let's see. Hang on one sec. I'm gonna stop sharing this for a minute, and here we go. Settings, privacy, dump. Okay, there we go. Okay. Go ahead and copy this and sign in. Save that. There we go. Okay. Sorry about that. A little. Okay. Okay. So after you sign in, you get this menu right here. Okay. And there's, you can read through this stuff. It's no big deal. And you scroll through and you get all the way in. And I've read this stuff before. It's all about privacy and that kind of stuff. Okay. Next step. Okay. So first of all, you're going to fill in the submitter. So in this case, again, it's me, Kevin Bemmel. Email address, thewaytowowshow@bemmel.com. Oops, not the way to pal. And there we go. The way to. Okay, good. Phone number. Okay, no extension. Next step. Okay, professional services notice. Okay, this is telling you if you might need to have a license depending on what your business is. Okay, a previously reserved name will be used for this filing. No, I haven't previously reserved the name. Okay, so what is the name? It's going to be the Way to Wow Shows. Okay, and then they ask you to put it in again just to make sure you haven't made any mistakes. Okay, next step. Oops. Let's go back there. What do they say? Oh, LLC. There you go. Yeah. So for an LLC, you have to put, okay, there we go. You can see it's checked off now. Okay, so now address 6 South Robertson Boulevard. Oops. Number 120. Okay, United States, and initial mailing address. And by the way, a PO box cannot be used. Just keep that in mind. Okay, so it's the same thing again. Okay, country US. Okay, so we got that filled in. You can put an attention if you want to. I'm not going to here. Okay. Agent for service of process. So when you're creating an LLC, or for that matter, a corporation or any kind of entity other than an individual, that entity needs to have someone who, if the entity is sued, can receive what's called process, which is basically the lawsuit. Okay. And there are two types in California. There's an individual, which is probably what you're going to use, or there's a California registered corporate agent. Okay. Now, if you're going to use a California registered corporate agent, the person has to be qualified. They have to be registered to do that. Okay. So in my case, I'm just going to use an individual. It's going to be me. Okay, here we go. Same address. Now you'll notice there is no option other than California for the agent for service of process. And the reason is because California does not want an entity doing business in California. They do not want Californians to have to go to another state to serve you with a lawsuit. Okay. So let's say you live in Florida, but for some crazy reason, you want to have your entity domiciled, meaning in California. So you cannot have your agent for service of process in Florida. You have to have someone in California. And in that case, you might have to use a California registered corporate agent. Okay. You're probably gonna have to pay that corporate agent. Okay. But there's got to be someone here in California who can accept service of process. Okay. So this is an LLC. So it's gonna ask you about the management structure. The LLC will be managed by one manager, more than one manager, all LLC managers, and whichever it is, whatever you and your partners. I use that term loosely because you're not partners, you're co-members or your members in an LLC. So let's just say there's going to be one manager. Okay. File date. So you can either file the current date, or you can file a future date. So it'll be held and it'll be filed on that specific date if you don't need it filed right away. Okay. But let's just go ahead. We're going to choose current date. Okay. Next step. Okay. Any attachments. Now, attachments aren't required. So you can just skip this. Okay. And now you get to review and signature. So is there going to be one signature or multiple? In this case, I'm the only member. There's one manager, so it's just going to be one signature. Okay, and you'll notice by sign, you say, by signing, I affirm under penalty of perjury that the information herein is true and correct, and that I am authorized by California law to sign. Okay, so you click that, And then in California, you add a signature. You just type your name in. You put in the date. Okay. So here's my name. Today's date. Save. There you go. That's a signature. Next step. Okay. If you want a certified copy, you click that. And, if you want regular filing, you click that. If you want expedited filing, it costs more. Okay. Now, note, a limited liability company may have to pay a minimum $800 tax to the California Tax Board each year. Okay, so they're giving you that warning. They're also telling you, again, the filing fee is $70. Okay, next step. Okay, now I'm not going to actually file this because I don't need it. Oops, something here wrong with processing. Oh, standard processing fee. Okay, next step. Okay, now if I wanted to file it, I would click File Online. Okay, I'm not going to do that because I don't need this entity. Okay, and then if you go over here to my, I'll just save it as a draft. Okay, so then if you go over here to my work queue, it'll show up, and it takes some time to get it approved. Okay, so I filed a business on the 16th of January, and it took I think it was about 2 weeks to get it approved. Okay, and then I'm going to stop sharing this. Go back over here. So once your LLC is approved by the state, and of course you've paid your fees and all that, then you'll have to file something called a statement of information. Okay, and I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. Here we go. Yep, here it is. Okay, so see here it says file a statement of information. So once your entity is approved, you'll file a statement of information. Okay, and you'll search your entity name here, and if it's been approved, it'll come up. Okay, and I'm not going to be able to do this because I didn't file the entity, but it'll bring up the entity, and you'll just fill in any information, although typically it's going to be already populated with the information it needs, and you'll sign it electronically, you'll pay the fee, and then it'll be done. And if you look here on my work queue, you see here statement of information, and you see I did that on the 31st of January. Okay, so those are basically the 2 steps that you have to take to file for an LLC. Now, you can see it's pretty easy to do. So the question is, should you pay someone to do it? Not necessarily. However, before you decide whether you want your entity to be a sole proprietor, an LLC, a corporation, or something else, you should talk to your accountant, okay? Because there are different tax implications for different types of entities, and you want to make sure that you've checked those out before you create the entity, okay? Because once the entity is created, the government is going to expect you to pay taxes on it. Okay, so now that's not to say, if you create an entity and then it turns out to be not one that you want, so you can always shut the entity down. But in the meantime, you've wasted the filing fees; those won't be returned. Okay, and so I can't recommend strongly enough that you consult with your accountant before you decide what kind of entity you're going to operate as, and before you actually file that entity. And you may also want to talk to your lawyer. Now you say, well, I don't have an accountant or a lawyer. Okay, well, now's a good time to get one, right? And if you're just starting out, find someone who knows what they're doing, but maybe they're just they haven't been practiced a long time. So, they're willing to work with you in terms of cost and such. And you can explain, hey, I'm starting my first business, and, I just need some basic advice on what kind of entity I should create for the business. Would you be willing to advise me? Now, Accountant, shouldn't, I mean, a discussion like this probably isn't going to take more than an hour at the most. Okay. So may cost you a couple, $300, something like that. Lawyer, an hour of their time probably costs more than that these days. But it'll be money well spent because it'll get you off on the right foot. Oh, wait. So you saw what it was for, and you can see how simple it was for the LLC. Now, once you've applied for the LLC and the Secretary of State has approved it, you're going to be able to download what's called the LLC articles of incorporation. Okay, and in fact, the website makes them for you. I know when I started my first corporation, which is now back in 1992, I think it was. I hired a lawyer. He had to draft the articles of incorporation, and then we had to submit them to the Secretary of State. And then after that, he had to draft the bylaws and all that kind of stuff. Nowadays, all that stuff is online. Okay, and so you don't even need to have a lawyer draft articles of incorporation unless you're doing something special. But for just a typical LLC or corporation, you can just, the Secretary of State's website will generate them as part of the process of the filing. And then the bylaws, again, you could draft your own bylaws and just have a lawyer look them over for you and save yourself the cost of the lawyer doing it. Again, if there's nothing unusual about your business, and that's one of the reasons why you're going to want to talk to a lawyer. So you may need something special in your bylaws, and in that case, you're definitely going to need legal advice to do that. Okay, so as I've said many times on the show, I'm not giving you accounting or legal advice. All I'm doing is showing you how these systems work, and highly recommending that you get legal or accounting advice. Okay, so we have a little bit of time left. Let's go back then and look at filing a corporation, and you're going to see that it's very similar to filing an LLC. So here we are back at this same thing, and instead of clicking Articles of Organization LLC, Articles of Incorporation, California Corporation, General Stock. So this is the most common type. Now, by the way, you have other types here. Articles of Incorporation, California Corporation Benefit. So if you're going to do some sort of nonprofit, you may want something like this. Okay, Articles of Incorporation, California Corporation Insurer, if you're an insurance company. If you're an out-of-state corporation. If you're an accountancy or law, social purpose, right? So you can see if you're going to create a corporation, you need to talk to a lawyer. What type of corporation should you create? Right now, if you're an accountant, you're probably not going to create a general stock corporation. It's probably going to, well, this is an out of state. Actually, I take that back. Yeah, here it is. California. It's probably going to be a professional corporation because you're a professional. Okay. But this is where you're going to need legal advice. Okay, so in this case, let's just look at a general stock corporation. You can see it's $100 to file it. So you can see it's more expensive. If you recall, $70 to file the LLC, $100 to file a corporation. Okay, this is basically the same as you saw for the LLC. So you have to read it and say that you've read it. Okay, submitter is just you. Okay, I'm not going to go through putting in all the information again. Okay, was a name reserved for this filing? No. Okay, or if it was, yes. Okay, here's the address. Remember, this is just like the LLC. Okay, now, are there directors to be named in these articles of corporation? Generally speaking, the answer is no. But if there are, so then you'll list the directors. Okay, now, you say, well, wait a minute, don't all corporations have to have directors? Yes, they do. When you file your statement of information for the corporation after it's approved, you're going to have to name at least one director there, but you don't have to name a director in your articles of incorporation, and typically you won't. Okay. agent for service of process, exactly the same as for the LLC. Okay. Total number of shares the corporation is authorized to issue. This is something you'll want to talk to your accountant and or attorney about. Okay. Does the corporation have more than one class or series of shares? Generally speaking, the answer will be no, but you might. Okay. You might have voting and non-voting shares, for example, because that will impact who controls the corporation. Okay. The file date. Current date is most common, but again, you could file it with a future date, just like with the LLC. Okay. Attachments, if there are any, fine. If not, go on. Review it. Okay. And you see here's where all the information would be, just like with the LLC. Okay. And then filing, is there going to be one signature or multiple signatures? Okay. And then, again, do you want a certified copy? Okay. What kind of processing, standard, whatever. Okay. And then you'll sign it and file it just like before. Okay. So you can see the process is very similar. The questions are a little bit different, and a little bit more complex. And if you are considering a corporation, you most definitely need to talk to a lawyer. Even if you're going to file it yourself, talk to the lawyer about the various questions that you're going to have to answer. Okay, get your lawyer's advice, and then go ahead. And then, just like with the LLC, once you've submitted it, it'll take typically a couple of weeks for the Secretary of State to approve it. Once you have the articles of incorporation approved, then you'll need to file your statement of information, which I'm not going to go back. It works the same as for an LLC, except for you're doing it for a corporation. You'll need to name your at least one director. You'll need to name a CEO and a CFO and a secretary. Okay, those three officers are required for a California corporation. Okay, and then you'll file that statement of information, and then you're done with that part. Now, there's one other thing that you're going to need to do, and I'm gonna show you this quickly here before we run out of time. Okay, so go back to this. You want to get a federal tax ID number, okay, or an FEIN number. Okay, now notice here it says irxtaxnumber.org. Here this is a service where you do it and you pay for it. You can go right to the IRS's website. See here, irs.gov, employer ID numbers. Just click there. Okay. Alert, you must complete an EIN application individually instead of using any automated process. Okay. And you can file it online. So you apply for an EIN online. There's no cost for doing this. Okay. Determine your eligibility. So whether you're a sole proprietor, an LLC, or a corporation, you want to have an EIN number. Now, if you're a sole proprietor, you're actually getting an EIN number for yourself. Okay. But everything your business does needs to be done under that EIN number to keep it separate from yourself. So you could, for example, get credit under the EIN number for the business, and that will give you a separate business credit file from your own. Okay. Understand the online application. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. So you just click on apply online. Okay. Begin application. Okay. And here you go. Sole proprietor, partnerships, corporations, including S corporations, limited liability companies, estates, trusts, and then there's additional ones. So let's just do sole proprietor just so you can see how this works. It works pretty much the same for all of them. Okay. So are you a sole proprietor, meaning you have a business, or are you doing this because you're employing household help? Okay. So you're a sole proprietor because you're doing it for a business. Okay. So confirm your selection of sole proprietor. Okay. A sole proprietor, you have only one number of businesses. Okay. That's what I just explained. Okay. Now, why are you getting the EIN number? Have you started a new business, or did you hire employees? Do you need it to open your bank accounts? Okay. Change type of organization, purchase an active business. In this case, we started a new business. That's, if you have any questions about this, talk to your accountant first. Okay. And then you'll put in your information. In this case, Kevin, Bemmel. Okay. If a suffix, no, I'm not going to put my social security number, but you'll put your social security number in here. Okay. I'm just going to, let's see if this will work. I'll just put in zeros. Okay. I'm a sole proprietor. You're doing it yourself. Now, a third party can also do this on your behalf. Okay. Continue. Oh, okay. Okay. They're not able to process because I put in 000. Okay. Well, so you'll, okay. Thank you for using. All right. So you put in your social security number. It's going to ask you a couple of more questions, and then basically it's going to process your application for an EIN number. Okay. If I had put in my own social security number, it would have told me you already have an EIN number, because when I started my very first business, it was a sole proprietorship, and I got an EIN number way back then. We're going back to 1986. But anyway, you can file it, and then you'll click submit. And what will happen is it'll process it, and you'll be able to download a PDF letter. And in the upper right-hand corner of the letter, it'll have your EIN number. Now, they used to be called 95 numbers because in the old days, an EIN number always started with the number 95. Now, what's happened over the decades is there's been so many of them that there weren't enough 95 numbers to go around. And so now it can start with any kind of number. But in any event, before you open your business bank account, you're going to need an EIN number. You're absolutely going to need it if you have an entity other than a sole proprietorship, because that entity needs to have a tax identification number. Even as a sole proprietor, though, you may want to have an EIN number for your business. Again, talk to your accountant about that, and get your accountant's advice. Okay, and then those are the basic documents that you need in order to set up your business. Now, if you are going to do an S Corp, a subchapter S Corp, just like you could file the application for an EIN number online through the IRS's website, you can do the same thing for, well, it's not exactly the same, but you can download a form to file for a subchapter S designation for your corporation, and then you interestingly enough, you fax or mail in the form. You would think these days you could file it online, but for some reason you can't do that form online. Now, maybe an accountant can, but as an individual person, I wasn't able to do that. So I got an eFax account for free for 3 days, submitted it, and then got rid of the eFax, so it didn't cost me anything. That's the first time I've had to fax something in years, and I can't imagine I'm going to have to fax something again in the near future. So that's what you do. And again, whether you have a C Corp or an S Corp, that's something you're going to want to talk to your accountant about. That's not something to decide on your own especially if you're inexperienced. Okay. But you can see that all of these systems are really simple these days. It's all online, and you just follow it along. And the thing is, if you're doing this and you have any questions, it's not a big deal. Even if you have to start over again, you've maybe only spent 10 or 15 minutes. So, just write your questions down, give your accountant or your lawyer a call, say, hey, I was filing my fictitious business name statement. I was filing for my EIN. It asked me this question. I didn't know what to answer. What do I say? And it'll be a good experience, if you do it, working with your advisors. And it'll help you be a better business administrator, certainly. So that's what I've got for you today. I know it was a lot of information. Hopefully you found it useful. And if you watch my show for any length of time, you know that I'm a big proponent of people having their own businesses. Nothing wrong with working for someone else, but there's nothing like having your own business and really having the opportunity to garner your own success. So if you have any questions for me, feel free to post them on our social media. If they're general questions, if you have a specific question, feel free to email me. All those links will be in the show notes after the episode posts. Now, please don't expect me to give you accounting or legal advice, because I'm not going to do that. I'm happy to give you business advice because that is my business. But and you can ask me the question, but just be aware that I may say to you, well, this is something you need to talk to your accountant about, or this is something I recommend you talk to your attorney about. Okay, so if I do that, please don't get upset. I'm doing this, to give you the maximum amount of help, and I'm not trying to charge you. I'm not trying to force you to spend a lot of money doing this, but a little bit of money spent at the beginning will be a very good investment to your business success. So thanks for tuning in today. Hope you enjoyed the show. This is my last show for this week. So starting next week on Monday at 10 a.m. is Trust and Estates Weekly. On Tuesday at 10 a.m. is Business Lessons from the Military. And then a week from today at 10 a.m. all Pacific time is the next episode of People Making Money. So wishing you a wonderful rest of the day and a wonderful rest of the week. That's kind of hard to say, isn't it? And thanking you for joining me. If you joined me more than one show tonight or this week, thank you especially. And wishing you all the best and hoping to see you next week. Signing off. Marie, darling, you are my belle. All the best, folks.